All right, here we are in lesson 2 of poetry, and you can see on the board that we're going to be working on This Is Just to Say and from Variations on a Theme by William Carlos Williams. So that's a poet that we mentioned before, and here are our learning goals. I can identify the tone of a poem and discuss its effect on the overall message. I can compose my own poem with emphasis on presenting 2 different tones in my work. Having some trouble with the slides and the video. It's like they're not interacting with each other very well. Please go to page 22 and look at the vocabulary. You can see that we have some vocabulary about words that are in the poem, content words, and other vocabulary about poems. Beams are thick pieces of wood or steel, like the steel beams that hold up a skyscraper. Theme is the main point or topic, the big idea. Variation is a change or a different approach to a topic, so variations on a theme. Then we have excerpt. Everybody say excerpt. That word means a small part of a larger work, for example, one chapter of a novel or one paragraph of a newspaper article. On the test you just took on Unit 2, you had an excerpt from an informational piece written in 1922. Remember that? And tone is the attitude of a piece of writing expressed through the style of writing and the words the author uses. So we're going to be looking at tone as well. All right. And let's think about what is tone. So tone is an attitude towards something, and it can help explain the speaker's feelings. So I want you to think about a soccer game or a baseball game, and then at the end, how you say good game to the other players. Well, there are different ways that you could say good game, a different tone you could use to say good game. So try saying good game in a, okay, so hopefully you all said good game nicely to each other. Now try saying good game in more of a sarcastic tone. Yes? Okay. I think you have some practice with sarcasm, yes? All right, so there are many different kinds of tones. Let's look at this one here, saying good game in a positive tone. Maybe have your fingers crossed behind your back like you're not really telling the truth, that it was a good game. Yes? Okay, so there are different kinds of tones. There are sincere and there are insincere. Sincere tone would be genuine, saying what you mean. Insincere would be inauthentic, saying something different than you mean, right? Sarcasm is definitely making fun of something. Insincere, sometimes even unkind. Today we're going to read Just Is to Say. This is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. And it has an everyday feel, this poem that we're going to read today. It's almost like a note that he could have written to somebody. So I want you to do a little practice, and you're going to need to pause me to do this little practice. So Kumu Chris is going to take some volunteers, and you're going to improvise a scene. You're going to do a little improv in class today. One person's going to say, "Did you have fun at the basketball game last night?" And the other person is going to say, "I had a great time. I can't wait to go back." You're going to practice doing it in a sincere tone and then in an insincere tone. Okay, give it a try and pause me here so you can do that. And hopefully that was fun, right? Let's do a little bit of agree and disagree. Tone is the way a speaker can demonstrate feelings about something. Thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down if you disagree. Tone is a way a speaker can demonstrate feelings about something. Thumbs up. Good job. Sarcasm is a nice way of expressing one's attitude. Disagree. Thumbs down. When one is sarcastic, one is using a sincere tone. No. Thumbs down. Good job. Hopefully you're clear on sincere and insincere. So I'm going to read the poem aloud to you. Make sure that you're following along in your poetry book. Should be coming up on the screen. And this poem is called This Is Just to Say. All right. This is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. All right, that's the whole thing. This is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. Let's read it one more time. We're also looking at form. We're looking at stanza breaks. We're looking at line breaks. Just see how the poem looks visually on the page and look at the words that you're choosing, because when it's a very short poem, there's not even very many words there. So each word has a little bit more weight than if you're writing a whole essay or a whole story. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. All right, let's talk a little bit about that poem. How many stanzas do you see? Pause me and answer. How many lines do you see? Pause me and answer. What is happening in stanza 1? Pause me and answer. So in stanza 1, he's just stating a fact, right? He's just describing an action. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. Okay, let's read stanza 2 together. Can you read with me? And which you were probably saving for breakfast. So the word and at the start of line 1 in this stanza means that the stanza is continuing, right? The thought from the stanza before. So that's interesting to have a break and still be going on, right? Still going on with the same thought. But the speaker moves from thinking about his action to thinking about another person, the you, right? That you were probably saving for breakfast. Based on stanza 2, what does the speaker think the you was going to do with the poems? Pause me and answer. Okay, so these two stanzas together present a conflict between what the speaker wanted and what the other person, or the you, wanted. Describe in your own words what the conflict is. Pause me and answer. And let's read stanza 3 together. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. How does the speaker describe the plums in the poem's last 3 lines? Pause me and answer. Based on this description of the plums, does the speaker seem to have enjoyed eating them? Pause me and answer. In this poem, the speaker knew the plums belonged to someone else, but he ate them anyway. Does his description of the plums make him sound sorry for what he did? Give a reason to support your answer. Pause me and answer. When the speaker says, forgive me, does his tone sound sincere or insincere? Pause me and answer. Don't forget to give a reason for your choice. Okay, one thing I want you to notice, is there any punctuation? 0 punctuation, no periods, no commas, capital, and 1 capital, 2 capitals. Yes? Okay, now I got some more questions for you. Imagine that your food was eaten by the speaker. Raise your hand if you would be satisfied with this apology. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you would not be satisfied with this apology. All right. Now, you know the side of the room towards the middle school, right? The ramp, the bus pickup area, and then the side of the room by the lanai. Okay, so let's make the bus pickup area side of the room, that's sincere. The left side is sincere. The right side is insincere. Okay, you're going to go to the side of the room you think represents the tone of William Carlos Williams' poem, sincere or insincere. Please go there now. And Kuma Chris, if you could have a discussion between the people who went to the sides, why they think it's sincere or why they think it's insincere, and if they think the speaker is being sarcastic when he's saying forgive me, and if they would accept his apology. And you can pause me. All right. I hope you had a good discussion about that. That's very interesting to think about, isn't it? Okay. Sincere, insincere. And now we're going to look at Variations on a Theme by William Carlos Williams by Kenneth Koch. So this is a poem about the poem we just read. And I want you to think about the tone of the speaker of this poem. All right. And you have this poem as well in your poetry book. It is on page 14 and 15. Variations on a Theme by William Carlos Williams, a section of his poem. And here it is. I chopped down the house that you had been saving to live in next summer. I'm sorry, but it was morning and I had nothing to do, and its wooden beams were so inviting. Sorry, just a sneeze. Okay. Wow, let's read that one again. I chopped down the house that you had been saving to live in next summer. I am sorry, but it was morning and I had nothing to do, and its wooden beams were so inviting. Okay, now we're going to go into our Poet's Journal 2.1. Please go to page 16 and 17 and go ahead and write the answers to those questions there. Okay, go ahead and answer the questions on page 16 and 17. Went the wrong way. There we go. What is the speaker apologizing for? What reasons does they have for doing that? What tone and what details in the poem recognize this tone? And by writing a poem inspired by This Is Just to Say, Koch stresses or plays up some of the qualities of the original. How does his poem show that exaggerated tone? Okay, so go ahead and answer those 4 questions now. You can pause me. All right, very good. And let's go over the answers to those questions. What is the speaker of the poem apologizing for? Chris, if you could pull sticks and ask students what they wrote down. Hopefully they wrote down something like, he is apologizing for chopping down the house. What reasons does the speaker give for doing this? Please pull sticks and ask students to give the answers. It was morning. He had nothing to do, and the beams were inviting. Make sure you're getting this copied down if you don't have it already. What tone does the speaker have, and what details in the poem help you recognize that tone? Okay, so you might have a few different ideas about this. As long as you're supporting it with evidence, that's what you need to do. You might think, please share in class what you have and pause me now. Maybe you said the speaker is being sarcastic or exaggerated because chopping down a house is extreme, right? Chopping down a house. It's pretty. This is an insincere tone. You might not forgive them for chopping down your house, right? And in writing this poem that is trying to like mimic or imitate the original poem, this is just to say, how does his poem show this exaggerated tones? Pause me here and answer in class. Okay, and hopefully what you said was that destroying someone's house is much worse than eating their breakfast, right? So this tone is much more exaggerated. Something like that would be great. If you didn't have that written down, please write it down now. Very good. And now we're going to move on to writing about it. Okay. And we're going to write poems of apology. So here's what I want you to think about today. What have you done that you should have apologized for? Have your parents or other adults ever made you apologize for something? Have you ever said that you were sorry but not really meant it? Have you ever said you were sorry and did really mean it? Okay, so you're going to write a poem of apology and you're going to experiment with different tones in those poems. You can use your own experience or you could imagine the situation. So let's go to 2.2, which is page 18 in your poetry book. And let's review the meaning of the word sincere. All right. The word sincere means with feeling, like you really meant it, right? Insincere would mean you don't mean it. So we're going to start in our book on page 17. In this lesson so far, you've read several poems that offer an apology for something the author was not really sorry for doing. Think about your own example of something that would require an apology. This example may come from your life or your imagination. It doesn't have to be based in real life. Think about something that might deserve an apology, even if you didn't know it was wrong or hurtful at the time. This could be something you have done, like William's eating the plums, or something you imagined, like Koch chopping down the house. Write down that thing here. Okay? Something you did or something you imagined, eating somebody else's food, chopping down somebody's garage. Could be many different things. Let's see. I'm going to say that I should have apologized for, you know what? Let's pause and everybody think about it. Writing, not talking. All right. I'm going to say I needed to apologize for borrowing my brother's tape player without permission when we were little kids. Yeah, I said I had no idea where it was, and it was at my friend's house. Oops. Based on the action you used to answer question 1, answer questions 2 to 4. You are writing about something imagined. Just answer as you would if you actually performed the action. Try not to be too silly, right? I think it's kind of like if you're more serious, then it comes out more funny in the end, right? So try to be serious. These planning questions will help you think more about the scenario you'll use in your poem when you write in the next section. Okay, so to whom are you apologizing and how might that person have been hurt or annoyed by your action? So pause me and write those now. And I'm going to say my brother, and he didn't have his tape player and missed his music, and he couldn't find it anywhere because it was at my friend's house. And then let's go on to number 4, writing these down yourselves. Why would you have performed this action? I wanted to be cool and have his tape player. All right. You're writing yours down too. If you complete question 4 and still have time remaining, look back over your answers in 3 and 4. Add at least one more detail to each question. Okay, so pause me while you get that finished up. Remember, writing, not talking. I could add my older brother. Oh, he couldn't play his tapes. Okay, very good. And maybe I just neglected it at my friend's house and didn't want to confess my mistake, right? Because I couldn't get it back right away. Okay, something like that. Now, poem number 1 is going to be our sincere poem. So this is the one where we're actually asking for an apology. We're actually sorry. We can use the space below to write our poem. You might think about your answers to the questions above for inspiration, but you don't have to use the exact same words. Your poem might include the following things: an action that deserves an apology, and why someone might be hurt by this action. Okay? For whom is this apology intended? And what words or details in this poem show the speaker's sincerity, right? Okay, so this is our sincere poem. Then we're going to do a sarcastic poem, a different tone, same action, but now it's a sarcastic tone, showing that the speaker's not really sorry for our actions. We're going to write that one below, and we're going to think about the action, why someone might be hurt by this action, what enjoyment the speaker got out of the action, like listening to his tape player, right? And you're going to fill in the rest of these answers. Okay? When you are finished, you can share them. And when someone shares their writing, the best way to respond is thank you for your writing. And then, encourage them. Also, there's a biography of William Carlos Williams on page 23 and Kenneth Koch on 24. So you could learn more about those poets. And congratulations on writing poems number 2 and poem number 3. Do a great job. Thanks so much. Aloha.